Hey, this is Chris from Papershift, and I'm going to show you how to use the software for a retail business. So I've put together an example account here. So we have our rota, which is already set out. The boxes you're seeing here are the shifts. So the green ones are ones which are already full, so you have enough people, and the red ones are ones where you need to add people to have the required number that you've set. You can set different working areas, so if you have, for example, a shop and a warehouse, so that you can rota for those separately. Now, to create your rota, you can build that per day if you have employees who work on the same days each week, for example. So when you're creating a shift, you can put a recurrence. This one, for example, is every Monday, and we need 2 people. And then to add someone to that recurrence, you just click on the shift, you click to add someone, and then you click this arrow here to add them to that pattern. So what that would mean, for example, is that Lucy, if we click the arrow, works every Monday in that shift. If we go to the next week, we can see that the pattern is all already set. So you're not having to create the rota each week, it's just following the pattern. And then when there are changes, you can just see that easily because the shifts are red because you need to add someone to that. And then you can assign people to the ones which are still open. Now you'll notice on the left-hand side, you have the hours that people are working. So as you add people to shifts, it will calculate the hours here, and you can set the number of hours per person according to their contract. So if they're part-time or full-time, and the color changes as it comes closer or goes over their hours. Now you'll notice these red icons here, that's showing that someone is marked as absent on that day. And we have the absences calendar here. So if you click here, you can see an overview of all the different absences for the staff, if they're on holiday, if they're off sick, etc. If you look at the absences section, there's an overview of the different absences that have been recorded for each employee. And employees can request vacation. So each employee will have their own Papershift login. For example, Joel has requested vacation here from the 13th to the 14th. As the manager, you get a notification saying that someone's made a request. Then you can have a look and then click here to confirm that. Once that's confirmed, it's linked to the calendar and it will take the employee out of any shifts on those days. So all you have to do is then click on the shift, and then you will see who is still available to put in there and how many hours they're already working that month, so that you can make sure not to give someone too many hours. So we can see here our rota is now fully planned, and then the employees can see this with their Papershift login, with the app on their phone, or if they're on a computer, they can see which days they're working in real time. So if you make a change here, they can see that as well. Now, the second part of it is the timesheets. So what we recommend for retail businesses is to use our time clock app, which is installed on a tablet, which is on the wall. So when the employees arrive, they check in. When they leave, they check out. They can also register breaks. And then that information is all automatically compiled in this time tracking section. So this is where you can see the hours that staff have worked, and then you can edit that if necessary. If someone forgot to clock out, for example, you can change that here. You can also add a note to show what you've edited, or to note if someone arrived late, for example. Now for the payroll, if we look at the employees section, click on employee and click on records. This is automatically adding up the number of hours which they've been working. So we can see here the examples that we saw in the time tracking section. And it's also adding up the number of hours that they should be paid if they were off ill. So that's all set into the system. So it's automatically calculating your payroll for you. Now, if you're paying your employees per month, then that's the default. If it's per week, then you can just set this to a weekly view. And you can see at the bottom how many hours they've worked compared to their target hours, so the hours in their contract. So all you have to do for the payroll is at the end of the month, go to each employee's records and then click on the export button here, export to Excel or CSV, and send that to the accountant. So very simple and no manual work required. Now, if you have different overtime rates depending on the time of a shift, so if you have, for example, night shifts and people are paid more because it's a night shift, then we have the payroll module. So Papershift knows that someone should be paid more in a night shift, and then that will automatically create a payroll report for each person in this section, which you can then export to various file formats and send to your accountant, and that will calculate the amount that they should be paid, including those overtime rates. So that's everything I wanted to show you about using Papershift for a retail business. If you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with us and enjoy using Papershift.